Hello and thank you for joining the Tuesday edition of Journalist Hangout. I'm Ibrahim Shita. Today on the program, amidst controversy over link of ISWAP to Owo Church massacre, Governor Akeredolu extends days of mourning as gunmen killed 37 in attack on rural community in Benue State. And later on the show, YIAGA Africa says politicians are hiring cultists and inducing voters to disrupt Osun governorship election as APC holds mega rally in Ekiti State. I'll be hanging out with Babajide Konlade Otutoju and Sam Ibemere. Journalist Hangout starts now. Let's begin with social media. The advent of social media has bestowed certain powers on ordinary citizens. But power without responsibility can be dangerous. With the aim of endangering accountability by online media platforms, the federal government, through the National Information Technology Development Agency, NITDA, has issued a code of practice and conditions for interactive computer service and internet intermediaries platforms such as Twitter, Facebook, WhatsApp, Instagram, Google, and TikTok to operate in the country. According to the head of corporate affairs and external relationship at NITDA, Hadiza Omar, the code of practice will protect fundamental human rights of citizens and promote sustainable digital economy in the country. Issues addressed by the code include legal registration of operations, taxation, and managing prohibited publications. Because we thought we actually come a long way in our digital economy, digital literacy, and so on and so forth. What do you make of these latest developments from NITDA?
Well, I know that this is something that government had been planning to do, especially in the wake of our disagreement, quote, with Twitter. Government is trying to, as you can see, they talked about taxation. You know, some of the things that they didn't take seriously, things that they ignored. They've used the opportunity of the quarrel with Twitter to now bring such things on board now. So I know that they see an opportunity to make money off these social media platforms by getting them to register in our country, have representatives here, have someone at least that sits at the top of the operations in our country, and then ensure that they pay they pay taxation and conform with our laws. We do not have sufficient details. We do not know the extent to which it affects the ordinary man who uses these platforms. But as we have seen, it is actually targeted more at the social media platforms. If some of what the government is asking for does not, some of those or the things they're asking for do not meet their expectations, do not conform with their own code of practice, I know that they are going to protest, they are going to push back. But at this stage, we don't know fully what government intends to do. We don't have all the details. The government is saying that we spoke with some civil society organizations. We need to know those NGOs, you know, because at a time like this, everyone is careful to not have a situation in which we now face some form of gagging, especially in an electoral season. Nobody wants to see that happen. But we know too that nothing should be cut loose. If we say, okay, there's freedom of press, such freedom must not in any way endanger the lives, the exercise of such freedom must not in any way endanger the lives of Nigerians. Where you attempt to do that using the social media platform, the government reserves the right to step in and say, look, you've gone beyond the boundary of decency and what is right. The internet, as I've said before, has put power in every hand, but it has not put a sense of responsibility on every hand.
Yeah.
So some people simply malign other people, destroy people's integrity just because social media gives them that license. Yeah. People who are not fit to lace your boots, they come on social media just to abuse you, call you all kinds of names. And increasingly, Nigerians can't even stand healthy arguments. No. That's why a lot of people simply stay away from social media. Yeah. Healthy argument, they are not prepared. They just start abusing you. Right. So I'm not a fan of regulation, regulation to the point that people's rights can then be abridged. Yeah. But I also do not believe that everything should be cut loose and that people have the freedom to do what they like. They have to behave within the confines of our laws. Right.
Sam, well, Section 39 of the 1999 Constitution actually guarantee the freedom of, information, being able to hold, impart, information on other people without any kind of interference whatsoever. But if you look at Twitter today, for instance, let's just, take Twitter as a case study. You see there hate speech, you see cyberbullying, you see information, misinformation, disinformation, etc. And just like BKO said, they won't care whether you are older than their father, but they'll actually wash you down. True. So do you think there is that really need to regulate this social media or the internet, as a whole?
Okay, I'd like to start by saying that Nigeria is a sovereign entity, and we do have every right as a country to ensure that we have semblance of order in the way society is governed. Yes, the Constitution guarantees the rights, all manner of rights indeed, of which association, freedom of speech is part of. But again, it also limits you. We've talked about responsibility here. I mean, you just don't have access to power. There's a responsibility on the part of those involved to ensure that their rights, stop where those of others, begin. I think it's important, to acknowledge that. So, but having said that, what you find on social media these days is a lot of abuse. And no society operates in a milieu of anarchy. If you do that, then you're just basically surrendering to those who don't want order. So I would agree that there is need for some form of regulation, okay? Because you just can't operate anyhow. Yeah. The challenge that we have here is that government in the past had shown some kind of discomfort, in terms of the way information is shared and all that. And I think that is why we have some level of apprehension, regarding the emergence of these codes. Yeah. If you recall, not too long ago we had the government through the office of the Minister of Information trying to push a law through the National Assembly to have NBC regulate online media. Absolutely. I think that is the concern. We don't have total access to what has been involved, but government has talked about different stakeholders being part of this and all that. But we just want to believe that there is some level of understanding on the part of every player to ensure that there is order. Nobody wants anarchy.
And frankly, the government has to be careful, the government in power has to be careful in an electoral season. If people suspect that their rights could be taken away, it can become a campaign tool against the government.
Absolutely. Against the government, that's correct.
They have to be careful how they manage
that's correct. Although they actually claim that it's actually in line with international best practices, as obtained in the United States of America, United Kingdom, European Union, and United Nations. So we see how they're actually going to, plays out at the end of the day. On kidnapping too many, following another rounds of abduction in some parts of the country, bandits have abducted the Anglican Bishop of Jeba Diocese in Kwara State, Right Reverend Adeyinka Oluwaseun Aderogba, his wife and driver, as an isolated area along the new Oyo-Gbomosho Expressway. The kidnappers are demanding a ransom of 50 million naira for their release. In a related development, gunmen have abducted another cleric, Reverend Father James Kantoma, a Catholic priest in charge of St. Anthony's Parish, Aguare community in Jos East local government area of Plateau State. He was abducted from his house by the gunmen in the early hours of Monday. Have clerics now become endangered species in the country? Big Hill.
It's terrible when bandits come to your house, your own house, and whisk you away. It's bad enough when these things happen on our highways. But as we have seen with the story emanating from Plateau State, they actually went to his house to abduct him. So where else can Nigerians hide? If people cannot stay in their homes and believe that they are free from the activities of bandits, of kidnappers, then it's very bad. No one is safe anymore. Nowhere else is safe. Because home, look, if we even look at the definition of home, it's not where a man will feel threatened.
There should be a sense of tranquility.
It is a place where, where you lay your head after a hard day's work. But if you can't be sure that even right inside your house you could be kidnapped. Do you know, I remember one of Nigeria's foremost writers who was kidnapped in Port Harcourt. They came through his roof. And this person that they came to kidnap is not somebody who had money. They had money. Sometimes they too don't even get their intelligence right. They came through the roof. I mean, to arrest, to abduct a very old man. What is going on? At every point. Once they had, look at the story of the Methodist prelate. I tell you, even his story will encourage some more gunmen to go after pastors. In Kaduna, they kidnapped so many pastors. They targeted even Christian school. And the Baptist convention paid in excess of 100 million to secure the release of those students.
What is the reason for that portion to be able to, go after people, men of God?
Yeah, because they would then think that some churchgoers, some members of their church who have means would rally around and raise the money. That's where I was headed, that the story of the Methodist prelate that was kidnapped, his story would even encourage more of their ilk to come after Christian clerics. Because not only was 800 million raised in quick fire time, that such a humongous sum of money could even be raised. It's something that will normally encourage them that, look, if we get this kind of people, we can be sure that they'll be able to pay, because they look for the money and they paid in quick time. So, look, that highway, the normally, yes, it's not always busy, because many vehicles still use the alternative route, especially the trailers and the rest of them. But it's always been seen to be safe.
Southwest, in general.
Now the activities of, even in Kwara now, you are seeing them increasingly moving into Kwara North, because Kwara North now does not appear to be safe. So it could be bandits from Niger, which shares boundary with Kwara, that are now seeping into Kwara. Because these things were literally unheard of in Kwara, and even some parts of the Southwest.
Well, Sam, would we be deceiving ourselves if we still think as against some parts of the north, the southwest is still relatively safe?
I mean, what the figures are telling us basically is that no part of this country is safe anymore. From the northwest to the northeast to north central to southwest to southeast. I mean, how far is Lagos from where this incident happened? We probably on the steady drive, 5 hours or less than 6 hours. I mean, this level of criminality is just next door, and that's the truth. And what we have here, yes, there's a temptation to ban these, targeted killings, but what I see is an industry. That's what I see. It's just growing because it takes nothing to get in there. You get in there, you make so much money. Jide just talked about how much was made by these guys in less than 3 or 4 days. As
a matter of fact, they're also asking for 50 million naira ransom, which is not even easy to come by.
It's all over the place in Zamfara. Some guys were picked up, 30. Do you understand? It's almost on daily basis, and these are the ones that you and I get to hear about. So many go.
But are the bushes so large and expanse when it comes to you being able to pinpoint where they are, locate them, and decisive blow on them?
You see, one thing is clear here: absolute lack of intelligence. That is one. 2, the will to want to deal with this is the other. Yes, for those of us who are very keen observers of our space, it's true that the military is spread thin, our security agencies have challenges all over the place, but again, you must have the will. And how do I mean? You have a situation where these things just go unpunished. There's this attitude of, well, it has happened, let's just forget about it. When was the last time you heard about government going after these people? I mean, the guys who were involved in the Abuja train incident are still there, barely 3 months after.
Yes.
And so, what's the serious sign that government is interested? Do you understand? It does seem that life doesn't matter anymore. And so, citizens are asking for some seriousness on the part of government to deal with this. Make that move and let's see failure. But here, we're not even seeing any moves, as it were.
At a point, it even felt that, we were dealing with them, but now we are not seeing any movement.
And this is in spite of directives given by Mr. President.
Yeah.
Repeatedly saying go after these people. We don't see anything.
By now, he could even be tired of issuing the same directive.
So we have a serious problem on our hands. A serious country shouldn't surrender.
So we have almost given up now. When you see a bandit leader granting interviews, and the interview netting thousands and thousands of views, you sense that the people actually want to read the story or listen to a story out of curiosity or fear or both. So, what is the 2G? We're talking about 2G for some time here. It's still boasting. He's boasting. His boasting has been saying that, look, nobody can stop him. Nobody. He does not fear the army.
In a country that has government that has security and all that.
And it's been there.
Well, we need to change the complexion of this conversation, but then we'll do that immediately after this short break. Do stay with us on Journalist Hangout. We'll be back. Thanks for staying with us here on Journalist Hangout. I've been speaking with Babajide Kolade and also hanging out with Sam Ibemere. Thank you very kindly, gentlemen. Now, I understand we have someone on the line who wants to actually chip in 1 or 2 things. Thank you so much for joining us.
Hello.
Hello, make your point.
Yeah, good afternoon.
Simon.
My name is Simon. I'm calling from London. It was General Abacha that said when terrorism lasts for more than 24 hours, that it's got something to do, or the government has something to do with it. How many people have we lost in Nigeria? And nothing has been done. Nothing to write home about. It is so unfortunate that we are losing so much Nigerian citizens, and do we really have a government in Nigeria? Imagine what it would have happened to the cleric that went to interview to Tuji. The picture was all over the social media. And this cleric has not been invited. A governor also went to the bush to interview him, and nothing has been done to them. In the same climate, in the same country, those people would have been invited. How many terrorists have been indicted? How many terrorists are behind bars at the moment? And we have a president that goes home and sleep, stay with his own family, and other Nigerian families are in the bush. Right,
Simon, thank you very kindly. We understand, you know, it's also all of these rhetorical questions. They're actually really begging for answers. But while Nigerians await news of arrest of perpetrators of June the 5th massacre at the church in Owo, Ondo State, controversy over the group responsible for the killings is raging. The federal government has linked the killings to the Islamic State in West Africa province, ISWAP. But Governor Kade Fayemi of Ekiti State has described the claim as mere speculation. Governor Fayemi said there is no clear and hard fact evidence linking ISWAP or Boko Haram to the attack yet. Meanwhile, the state governor, Akeredolu, has extended the mourning period in the state to Wednesday, 15th of June. The extension is sequel to resolution of the Southwest Governors Forum to observe a 3-day mourning period for the victims. In Benue State, gunmen have also wreaked havoc in IGAMA, a rural community in Opoko local government area. The gunmen killed 37 residents, including women and children. Because this is it leaves a very sad taste in the mouth.
There is something that I hear Nigerians say. Let me start with that General Abacha said any insurgency that lasted more than 24 hours, government must have a hand in it. I don't know where
they got the quote from.
This quote came from. Nigerians are very creative people. Abacha is not recorded anywhere to have made those remarks, because it even makes no sense to suggest that every insurgency government must have a hand in it. Oh, that means the insurgency, the 1992 insurgency in Algeria, that resulted from the Muslim Brotherhood winning election and government denying them, an insurgency that those guys started because they felt cheated. You then imagine that the same government that cheated them was supporting the insurgency or funneling money to the insurgency. I don't know how our people think. Abacha never said so. And those who keep saying that, they should provide where Abacha said it.
An evidence.
Abacha never said so. No Nigerian leader with his sanity intact will say that any insurgency at all that lasts beyond 24 hours must have been supported by government. I mean, it makes no sense. People can come to say, okay, this is our political aim, therefore we want to we execute our plan with the intention of gaining something, making political gains. And then you think that the same government that they are waging a war against knew about it. Even at the height of the apogee of the Boko Haram insurgency, some people were saying that the Jonathan government was behind it. I even saw one picture that somebody posted that what's his name, that Shekau was coming out of Aso Rock. They even claimed that some some soldiers from the south were working with the Shekau. Absolute falsehood that have since been exposed by time. So that one that Abacha said, I challenge any historian or any Nigerian who has a good grasp of that era to produce the occasion. Let us know the occasion, the day that Abacha said.
There must have been a publication of that same particular.
Yes, at least somewhere. Let's see it. It's a lie. They never said such a thing.
All right. That being said, react to, was federal government too much in a hurry to have linked ISWAP to the Owo massacre, so to put it?
I think in a way, without the facts on ground, because you see, when you talk like this and you say that, look, ISWAP's character is to come out, when they do something, they will come out, take responsibility. You understand?
Yeah.
ISWAP does not delay to take responsibility for any action that it takes, any terrorist action that he carried out. You saw what he did in Taraba State. They didn't waste time. They came out to say they did it. Even the killing of some Christians in Nkogi, in Ebraland, they came out, they said they did it. We've had some terrorist activities that they carried out in the very recent past, the last few months, that they claimed responsibility for. And that was why we said, look, these guys appear to have changed tactics. Yeah. They are not going after the military anymore. When was the last time you heard that they overran an army base? It's now civilians that they are now killing. Scrap, people who pick scrap metals all over the place. They've killed about 50 of them in Borno State. Civilians are the people they go after now. They've lost, to a large extent, they've lost the capacity to damage the capacity of the Nigerian army the way they used to do. So now they are, before they plan, even before they hit the street moving, a jet will sight them, or even an unmanned area vehicle will waste them. So it's now difficult for them to plan and hatch major operations the way they used to do when they will be moving, even super tanks, super camps. They were overrunning super camps before. But right now, they appear to have lost that capacity. And if you check, the rate of attacks on military formation has gone down drastically. That suggests that we are making progress in the northeast. So they appear now to be moving away from the northeast, or moving away from some of the northeast states where they were very active, now going to Taraba, going to some parts of Yobe where they were not attacking people before, and then the not central. Yeah. Because they carried out attacks in the north central that they owned up to. So this one, I'm yet to read anywhere that, look, ISWAP carried out this attack, or a group affiliated to ISWAP. There are many terrorist groups now, some of them offshoots of Boko Haram. But it doesn't mean that every terrorist group is ISWAP. ISWAP is not Shekau, cannot be described as Shekau's people. They were ab initio Abu Musab al-Banawi's people. Because in 2016, the group split up, and ISIS recognized Abu Musab al-Banawi's group, and Shekau got angry. Instead of paying allegiance to Abu Musab al-Banawi, he decided to go it alone, you know. So they became two factions. But their modus operandi is different. So it's not every terrorist group that you can actually link to ISWAP. It's possible. For example, this terrorist group that is active in the North Central, what's it called again? The one that attacks soldiers in Lokoja area.
The name actually escaped my mind. Oh. Let's keep talking.
Ansaru. Yeah. Ansaru, for example, is not linked to ISWAP. In fact, Ansaru came out before the birth of ISWAP. You know? So, it could still be a terrorist group. But when you say it's ISWAP, that is where I disagree, because I've not seen where ISWAP owned up to the attack. And by their nature, if they carried out an attack, they don't waste time. They claim responsibility. So let us be patient. Let's conclude our investigation. Unfortunate that those guys have not been arrested. Some of us jubilated too early when we heard that they were arrested. And people were saying that it's the juju of our people that got hold of them. Somebody even posted, I told you that no one can do this to our people and get away with it. We thought the juju had prevailed. But from the look of things, we jubilated too early. The people that were arrested were not the people who carried out the
well, West has got enviable sophistication which reflects the in their religious pluralism and faith tolerance. So are there fifth columnists working somewhere to drag the southwestern region into a religious war as a result of this?
Very difficult to say, because a lot of things are happening almost at the same time, and that is why, in the absence of intelligence, all that we can talk about is basically speculation, But what happened in our war, looks all too familiar, in terms of the way the dastardly act was carried out. It was a massacre, and you ask yourself what could be responsible for it. So again, there's this temptation to want to link it to some kind of religious issues and all that, but we can only hazard guesses. I don't want to jump into any conclusions, because just too much is happening within our polity. It's almost similar to what happened not too long ago somewhere in Anambra State. If you remember, is it Kulobia or no? I don't remember now. The church massacre, that turned out to be some kind of we were told, rivalry by cult groups. So just anything is possible. We've heard stories told about how this is similar to the same cult issue. But again, you ask yourself, why would cultists make innocent citizens in a church, to pay the price for such level of rivalry? You see, but what gives me, a bigger concern is the way these guys just walk in and walk away. Did you understand? He just walk in, conduct this criminal act, and then walk away. They just basically vanish into thin air. And I've seen images of the church in Owo. It's in an urban area. Probably one of the biggest churches you find in Owo. So it's not like something that is in a remote place with access road and all that. And the guys just walked in, did what they wanted to do, and walked away.
They came in. So they came in with sack, bought corn, and then they
again. I don't have details, but it just tells you how porous it is. The way we manage security here. And then it raises the issue of, shouldn't we be talking about state police? If we had one in place, would this have happened? And people walked away and all that. Because if it were in a very remote place, well, one can make some concessions. But this happened in the city. Or is the city, for goodness sake? It's an urban center. And they just drove away. And then weeks after, we are still talking about not knowing who may have, led this attack, or the group that is responsible for the attack. That failure of intelligence, for me, gives me, it just gives me serious concern.
It just shows that we are so wide open.
Sam, I wanted to quickly react to that of Benue, ditto to Benue, where 37 residents were also killed, including women and children.
So much bloodletting. So much bloodletting. The way we measure figures here is like they don't matter anymore. Before walking into this place,
life is so cheap.
Yeah, I did a basic check. By the first quarter of this year, 1,743 persons had been killed. First quarter. Meaning that between March and this period, you're probably talking about 2,000 Nigerians killed, wasted. And we just pretend and carry on as if nothing happened. It's
we are
very disturbing.
Our humanity.
Yes, no feeling anymore. And sometimes you wonder if our leaders are really moved, because we're just laid back.
Well,
we're just laid back. No record of any security agency going after, no record of arrest months after. I mean, the Abuja case is just too clear. The people are wasting, languishing in pains right there in the bush, somewhere close to Abuja. And we're just carrying on. 3 months after.
Well, Biko, the Nobel laureate Wole Soyinka said they sent a message. They chose the governor's hometown, Akeredolu, because he's very outspoken, he's a dogged fighter when it comes to fighting insecurity. And then he said, we have received the message. What exactly do you think the Prof was trying to say?
He was trying to say, look, Southwest, you are the next target. We've said a lot about the fact that in the Southwest we are enjoying the kind of peace that some people in the North can only experience in their dreams. Yeah. But here we are. The U.S. issues travel advisory all the time. It is only the Southwest that they permit their people to go. All the other geopolitical zones, they tell them, don't go. And if they must go, they also tell them the no-go areas in those places. It's only the Southwest. The Southwest experienced just 37 kidnappings over the same period that Kogi experienced 50. Kogi, one state. 6 states experienced 37. Over the same period, you are talking about 900 and something for another state in the north. So there's no doubt that the Southwest is the safest part of our country now. I mean, nobody tells you that on a Monday morning you cannot go to work. That doesn't happen here. Yes, we have cult groups, but they don't visit the same kind of violence, the same volume of violence on us as it is elsewhere. So we can easily lose the serenity that we are enjoying here if we do not pay greater attention. And if we do not tell ourselves that, look, eternal vigilance is the price of liberty. If we keep thinking that, oh, it will never get here, it will get to your door. So Soyinka was just trying to remind our people that, look, you need to
be on the alert.
Be on your toes. Don't imagine that everywhere in the Southwest is safe. At any point in time, something bad could happen. So that was what the man was trying to say. And then to have targeted the hometown of the governor who put it upon himself to fight for Amotekun. Nobody fought for Amotekun like him. He showed leadership. To have taken the battle to go and kill, I heard they are going to bury 40 of them on Friday. You know? And so that's a way of saying that, look, Akeredolu, you've got to pay for the efforts that you are making in defending your people.
Let's quickly have Uche from Nnewi, Anambra. Uche, make your point.
Good evening.
Good evening. Uche, you're sounding far away. Move closer to your microphone. Speak up.
Chief Babajide. Good evening, Chief Sam Mbamel.
Good evening.
This is Uche calling from Nnewi.
Make your point quickly.
I think from what that woman said from calling from London, I think whether Abacha said that or not, I think what she's trying to say is that when things are happening like this and the government is not doing anything, or practically, looking like, like, I don't know, the government is like, sympathizing with these terrorists. So if I may use that word, sympathy. And I don't know the reason why government should be sympathizing on the terrorist group.
Uche, thank you very kindly. Your point is made, but we don't think that the government is sympathetic, to the cause of the terrorists. There can be a government and they'll be willing to kill their own people.
There is no point lying against a dead man. He never said that. And I repeat, Abacha never said that. But Nigerians are going around always saying that Abacha said, at what occasion?
Don't be surprised. You're a public figure that people can attribute, certain, quotation. Somebody will just sit in the middle of
No.
And then say...
Sometimes, some time ago on this program, one of my colleagues said something that I didn't even like. Somebody went on Facebook and attributed it to me. So this happened.
Right. Well, let's to be forewarned, they say, is forearmed. 2 off-season elections in Ekiti and Osun State are upon us, and it's essential we get their conduct right as dress rehearsals from the 2023 general election. But dangerous signs are already visible. The Youth Initiative for Advocacy, Growth and Advancement, YIAGA Africa, has warned that activities of political thugs and cult groups might threaten the peaceful conduct of the July the 16th governorship election in Osun State. YIAGA raised the alarm following findings of its long-term observers deployed in all the 30 local government areas of the state to assess preparations on the part of all stakeholders involved for the elections. Meanwhile, as part of efforts to boost the chances of its governorship candidate in Saturday's poll in Ekiti State, Biodun Abayomi Oyebanji, the All Progressives Congress has held its mega rally. The campaign attracted the presidential candidate of the APC, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, and governors from the southwest and other states across the country. We can now say, let the game begin. Sam, I'd like to start with you on this. We're looking at what YIAGA Africa said, raising the alarm. We thought we have actually advanced way away from electoral violence.
Not quite. And I think first we must appreciate that YIAGA is not just any other group. Very credible.
They've been around.
They've been
for
around.
Some time.
Been involved with our electoral system and processes. So when they get to speak, you've got to take it very serious because it's a very credible group, and it just speaks to the danger ahead. It just shows that we're not learning sufficiently from our experiences in the past. I mean, how can we, at this time, begin to talk about, politicians mobilizing cultists, criminals, arming them, to disrupt elections? That can only come from people who don't have confidence, in their ability to go out and compete, all right, and sway voters to their own side. That's just my thinking of what is playing out, and everything must be done to stop that. Otherwise, the integrity, the outcome of these elections is going to be questioned, right. Because when you push, for power through violence, then chances are that you're going to continue to want to, use violence to stay in power. Yeah. So it's very condemnable, and government should take the information that YIAGA has shared, with Nigerians very seriously.
Right, Mikhail, INEC also has a lot of work to do, but I think they already have a way of dealing with this by calling for cancellation of elections in places where the places that are affected, in any form of disruptions.
But that's not the solution. It's not really the solution. Sometimes politicians even contrive crises where the opponents are winning, very strong, knowing that ultimately the ballots in those places would be rendered invalid. So sometimes they deliberately cause problems in the stronghold of the opposition. So our politicians need to change their ways. INEC can do its best by way, make a brilliant effort by way of voter education and all that. But it's these politicians who are recruiting cultists. They are the ones going around sharing money. The election has not come, but YIAGA has already listed so many local governments where its long-term observers documented cases of bribery, and giving of gifts and money to voters. And we are saying that culture is just not good enough. On election day, you will still see them, in spite of the warning by YIAGA, in spite of this alarm that YIAGA has raised, these politicians will still come on election day, give people money on the queue, buying people's conscience. They will still try to disrupt rallies of their opponents, because they even documented where the rally of an opponent was disrupted. In some cases, billboards of some opponents will be destroyed. This is generally bad political behavior. And all I can say is that our politicians need to change, because they are the mirror of the voter, of the ordinary people. They are seeing them. If you keep encouraging violence, then violence will remain with us for much longer. Yeah. So they've got to change. Yeah. No one needs to tell a politician that, look, it does not pay to be hiring cultists and thugs to be disrupting other people's rallies, to be causing mayhem during the political season. No one needs to tell you that. All you need to do is tell the voter what you have got in store for them. Don't bribe the voter. Don't distribute money to people on election day. Is the meaning. Right. I don't know any political culture where it happens at the scale that it is happening in Nigeria. Well, it's just not right.
Well, Sam, quickly, the ultimate thing, the ultimate decision lies with the voters.
Absolutely.
But if there is no bribe giver, I mean, if there is no bribe taker, there won't be a giver. Yeah. So the people to have a role to play here.
Yeah, and that is why, you know, right here, you know, on this platform, we've got to speak to all stakeholders, you know, involved in this process. Yeah. The truth of the matter is that if we sell our birthrights, we accept 1,000, 2,000 naira, and okay, it means for the next 4 years, the politician doesn't owe you anything. So we want to discourage that in absolute terms. It really doesn't help anybody. But I like what I see, you know, happening, you know, recently. Nigerians appear to be to have woken up, to hold their government accountable. We just want to hope that this momentum, you know,
will be sustained.
Yes, is sustained. That's a lot of awareness.
The election credit.
A lot of awareness, you know, going on, and we trust that voters will seize the moment, not just to hold leaders accountable, but also enthrone the kind of leaders we want, you know, to take us beyond where we are at the moment.
All right, BK, Ekiti is next, you know, this Saturday, and then we understand that at least more than 17,000 police will be deployed for Ekiti election this Saturday. So we believe that they should be able to maintain law and order.
Yeah, every time we do that, as if an election is a war. It's supposed to be a carnival. But at the end of the day, you still hear that in spite of the huge deployment of the armed forces, you still hear people snatching ballot boxes here and there. You still see people sharing money on the queue, something that the Electoral Act frowns against, and no arrest will be made. So sometimes you just ask yourself, why are we deploying that many policemen? Because we not just deploy policemen, we deploy civil defense and the Navy, the Air Force. At the end of the day, the bad boys still get away with snatching ballot boxes. So you keep asking yourself, what's going on? Is it that they look away and allow these things to happen? So we need the Ekiti election to be properly organized, properly managed, and we need the will of our people to triumph, because the Ekiti election is the foretaste of 2023, and we want to see it successful in all ramifications.
All right, your final thoughts, very quickly.
Well, speaking to the Ekiti elections, we just want to hope that things turn out fine. Just as Jide has said, it's going to lay, you know, the grounds for better expectations, you know, going to 2023. It's important that we set the right example. Otherwise, there'll be total loss, you know, confidence in the system, and that's not what INEC, you know, wants to portray, or the federal government wants to portray to Nigerians. We want to see absolute confidence. We want to see an electoral process that has very high integrity. That can only encourage more Nigerians to have faith in their system.
Absolutely. Thank you very kindly, Sam Ibemere. Thank you so much for your time with Journalist Hangout. Babajide Koladu Studio, thank you so much too for your keenness of insights as always.